After the Second World War, numerous manufacturers released their own version of Leica M39 rangefinder. The famous ones are Zorky and Fed in the Soviet Union or Canon in Japan. But other manufacturers created their own version of 35mm Leica rangefinder. This is also the case of France with the Foca PF rangefinders. You may have never heard of them, but these cameras met with some success locally among professional photographers. Foca was a French brand that existed from 1945 to 1965. Foca offered cameras for the general public, as well as models designed for professionals, such as those presented in this video. French photographer Willy Ronis notably used some of the Foca PF series cameras. The Foca PF series cameras were produced and enhanced from the end of the war until the early 1960s. At the same time, Foca manufactured bayonet mount rangefinders intended as a higher-end alternative to the PF series. This change made the rangefinder usable with almost every lens of the system, but those aren't the subject of this video. Foca M36 lenses are far less common than bayonet 1. The three I got my hands on were the 1-star which does not have a rangefinder, the 2-star that has a rangefinder, and the 3-star that has a rangefinder plus slow shutter speeds. A later evolution of the 3-star was the PF3L, released in the late 1950s, which added a lever instead of a wheel to turn. Despite the similarities in shape, Foca PF cameras are not strict copies of the Leica IIIc. The mechanisms are different, and more importantly, they do not use the 39mm Leica thread mount but a specific 36mm screw mount. First, let's talk about the cameras of the system. What I can say about the Foca PFs from the 1-star to the 3-star models is that those cameras are functional but not the most pleasant to use. The back needs to be removed to insert film, and the spool comes off too, which is not practical when changing film in the field. The rangefinder is coupled to the viewfinder and the patch is clearly visible, but the viewfinder is quite narrow and has no parallax correction. The camera is portable with its retractable lens, but it is still quite heavy. Indeed, with a weight of 550 grams, you'll need to be mindful of tightening your belt before putting it in your pocket. In terms of reliability, the cloth shutter curtains can also be damaged by humidity. The shutter must be cocked shortly before firing because the mechanism cannot withstand being held under tension for too long. In a nutshell, by today's standards, these cameras are very rustic, but they are still usable and you can get good images from them. Now let's talk about what makes the Foca PF photographic system interesting: the lenses. Foca released multiple lenses going from 28mm to 135mm for their system. I have personally used the 50mm f3.5 and the 50mm f2.8, which are the most common ones you will find. The optical design of the Oplar 50mm f3.5 is a Tessar. The 50mm f2.8 is its successor and has a 5-element design with a more refined build quality. I like these lenses for their sharpness and ability to produce bright images. Indeed, unlike some of the French lenses of this period where I found the rendering quite raw, the Oplar is more refined and has a unique character. There is something gracious and sensitive about the images produced by the Foca lenses. Instead of being razor sharp, the edges are soft and dreamy. This effect is particularly visible in the highlights. The tonalities are also interesting. The coating seems to have difficulty keeping detail in the highlights, but there are a lot of beautiful nuances besides that. I personally like the aesthetic given by these lenses in contrast to the more precise, but more common rendering given by other lenses that I've used. Its limitations give them a unique charm. Foca PF cameras have nothing special compared to other Leica M39 copies. They are portable, but quite rustic. What makes this system interesting is the unique Foca PF lenses and their charming look. Unfortunately, Foca PF are also less common than other cameras and difficult to find outside of France. And more frustratingly, as the 36mm screw mount used is quite obscure, there are no adapters available. Therefore, unless you DIY your own adapter, these lenses can only be used on Foca PF cameras from the same brand. This channel is about more than just gear tests. It's a space to master the creative process and the timeless art of film photography. If you want to stop just taking snapshots and start making art, hit that subscribe button. And for a deeper dive, your next stop is electrocroissant.art. If you have a suggestion for a future video, do not hesitate to put it in the comments.